like giving their young players in-house the opportunity remains the priority. Is it just stay the course for Conroy and the Flames, or is the mindset shifting at all after last year?
I think the Flames have low-key taken some bigger swings than we fully realized yet, especially on defense. I heard they thought about some things that were bigger than we realized. Obviously there was the Anderson talks with Vegas, and I will say this: I don't think it's accurate that Anderson will only play for one team, but I have heard it's limited. It's more than one, but it's not like 10. I think it's a short list at this point in time, and I understand why the Flames might say no to that now and think they'll be in a better place later, because if they trade him at the deadline, then he'll go anywhere that's good. There'll be a market for a player like him. He's a right-hand shot, good player, making not a lot of money. And at that point in time, you're just going somewhere where you think you can best fit in and showcase yourself for the next deal. And if you go to a good team and you make it better, it really sets you up. So I understand why the Flames feel that way. It's not a bad strategy. But I think right now, the number of teams, like I wouldn't be surprised if one of those teams, for example, oh yeah, sure, I go play for the Florida Panthers. Well, Florida Panthers can't make that deal. So but I'm sure there's a couple other like that too. But, this was supposed to be a big summer for the Flames, because before the cap really jumped, they were one of the few teams with room. And I think they were really hoping to take advantage of that. Well, now more people had room, and it made it harder to take advantage of. But I think Conroy sneakily was trying some bigger things that just didn't come to fruition. I think it was like, okay, if this is not there, we're not going to push it to a ridiculous stage. And that's what I think they've kind of looked at.
Okay, so you think the sneakily looking at doing something big that's cooled off, or are they still considering things?
I wouldn't be surprised if they're poking around a guy like Byram, but the thing is, I heard they were around a lot of the D that hit the market, but they had a limit. And so I think they were smart about that. And, I do think that they had something. I think it's been reported that they had something going with the Kings. I think we mentioned on the pod out of the draft that there was a team that they had something with that it just didn't, that Anderson wasn't willing to commit to. So the team didn't do it. And I think it's been reported that it was LA. So I don't think Conroy is afraid to do something big, but I think he's got goals, and he's got to hit those goals before he does it. The one thing I do want to say is I don't think I've ever been around something where there were more fake quotes attributed to me in the last week than Nazem Kadri. I don't know what is going on with you people out there. People were sending me these quotes that I'd said about Kadri, and I actually had to send them to the teams and say, guys, I know you're going to get calls about this. I didn't say this stuff. I just think with Kadri, the Flames have been asked about him before. They have him for term. Unless he comes to them and says, I don't think it's working here, I want to go somewhere to compete, or they absolutely get their socks blown off to the point where they have to go to him and say, we want to do this, I don't think that's happening. I don't think the Flames are really in a hurry to trade Nazem Kadri right now. Not after he had such a fantastic season for them.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that.
Oh, it was crazy. The other one, too, is that I'm really, and Conroy talked about this, who steps up? I know a lot of the Calgary fans are really excited about a guy like Zane Parekh. There's spots. Who steps up?
Excellent. The Edmonton Oilers, Elliot. So Evan Bouchard, the 4-year deal, you touched on it earlier in the podcast about why they went to the number that they did. Is there anything else about that contract you want to touch on and how they got that one done?
Yeah, initially I thought that was going to come in around 4 times 9.5, but as I mentioned, in arbitration he probably gets 10, and I think the threat of the offer sheet got it down to 10.5. Mangiapane, as I said with Toronto liked him, but they also had to move things around, right? So Edmonton's deal was right there, and he took it. And also, it doesn't hurt when you're going to be playing with Draisaitl, right? It's going to make a lot of guys look good. I think the other thing is, I think basically Edmonton went to check with all their guys who had no trade clauses, who they would want to move and say, okay, how many of you are willing to go places? And Arvidsson said he was, so he went. But, Nurse, I don't think he wants to go anywhere. Henrique, I'm not convinced he wants to go anywhere. So that's kind of where it ended up. They made it clear they like being part of something where they can win, and they decided to stay, as is their right. I'm curious about the right side next to Draisaitl. Right now, maybe Podkolzin. We'll see. Who gets the opportunity to go play there. I think they tried a few things out there on the open market, but they were a bit limited in what they could do. They are going to get a new goalie coach. I'd said on a previous pod about maybe do they try and get a new backup for Skinner. If you're going to try a new approach in goal, I don't know if you should. Like, they did sign Matt Tompkins, but Calvin Pickard's been very good for them. And the more I think about it, the more I think if you believe there's a better approach for you, then maybe the better approach works with Pickard, who already was a very, very successful spot starter for you. So I'm not as certain that Edmonton should do that. Maybe what you just do is you try the new approach and see if that helps you. Then, of course, there's McDavid, and we'll see where this goes during the summer. This is not one I'm worried about. I'm not. I think he extends. I just don't know what the term of that is going to be.
Right. And Kiprios made the point, and that was a good one. Like, it's different. People point to Draisaitl a year ago and say, well, he didn't sign till September. Like, it's okay if it doesn't happen right away. It's a different set of circumstances with McDavid, right?
Yeah, Kyle, I'll say this. There wasn't much of a negotiation with Draisaitl.
Yeah.
I think they tried to say, Leon, this is the number. Like, he's like, no, this is the number. And I don't think they put up a huge fight. So I think at the end of the day, they realized Draisaitl was extremely important. Don't fight him too much. Get it done. I think there'll be no fight at all with McDavid. What do you want? Fine. Remember the last time he walked in, they walked in and said, we're not asking for 20%. And they're like, thank God, what are we going to pay you? We'll do it.